Good morning, everyone. Bonjour. On behalf of the Thousand Island Region Workforce Development Board, I sincerely thank you for being part of the agenda here this morning. A few years ago, I spoke and I made reference to a discussion with my wife about talking about data. I'm going to talk about data in a few moments, and she made reference to she would rather have her teeth pulled out of her head. So I certainly hope that you pay attention to data, because data is very important, whether you're going to build a hockey rink or you're going to build a swimming pool. Whether you're going to build a school or you're going to close a school. Data is very, very important. The region itself is that we represent the Frontenac County, Leeds, Grenville, and Loyalist Township. So it's a large geographic area. There's two staff, myself and Maureen Keeler, and we're located in the beautiful town of Gananoque. We're funded by the Ministry of Advanced Training and Education, and our main product is called a Local Labor Market Planning Report. It's a very large document. It'll soon be on our website. It's about 100 pages. So it has a significant amount of information pertaining to our region. And some of the region is broken down by county, and some of it is for the region as a whole. So in terms of my presentation today, I thought of what do you want to hear? What would interest you in terms of data and what's going on in our community? One of the main focuses is that in terms of, we receive data from the employment service providers. So we've received this data for the last couple of years. So you're wondering, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the various employment service providers that provide counseling and services in the community, different individuals and organizations that provide literacy assessments in the community. Their caseloads right now across the entire region, so this is Frontenac County, Leeds, Grenville, and Loyalist Township, stands around 2,900 clients. This is up about 19% from last year. So I find that quite interesting. But that's the fact. Now, another part of their activity is providing skilled training. So many people come into their doors and they want to go back to school. So if you're interested, like what are the top jobs that people want to retrain to and what are being approved by the ministry? The number one is tractor truck trailer AZ drivers. Now that's a very interesting segue into Giant Tiger's discussion this morning in terms of logistics. This trade is across the province of Ontario. The next one is, of course, medical administrative assistance and various types of home support activities for seniors' homes, hospitals, what have you. So there's a significant demand for that type of training. And also there's heavy equipment operators. But those are the three big targets, three big pieces of training that people wish to be supported and are supported by the province. In terms of the trades, apprenticeship trades, the top 10 trades across the province in our region are electricians, auto service techs, hairstylists, carpenters, welders, truck and coach, plumbers, cook, sheet metal, child development workers. The apprenticeship intakes in our region has remained relatively the same. They're around 500, and they have increased slightly in this last year. The average age of someone going into an apprenticeship program is around 26 years of age. There is a need in Leeds, Grenville to focus more on women in the trades because the numbers are down a bit in that area. We do different types of surveys in terms of what people think about some of the highlights in our community and some of the issues. So we did two surveys. The one survey we did with different community partners in respect to what did they think the issues are in our community and where should we be devoting our resources and activities towards. And this survey was devoted towards economic development offices, employment service organizations, chambers of commerce, and this is what the feedback that was provided back to us in order. The number one issue is retaining and attracting business, creating new jobs. So it's to safeguard what we have now. Number two is ensuring labor market supply exists to meet employment standards and needs of employers, attracting and retaining youth, increasing the participation of those not in the labor force, increasing the participation of women in apprenticeship and the trades. We also did a survey of employers, and this survey was actually a one-on-one contact with employers. So the first survey I was referring to was an electronic survey. This survey was actually calling employers and asking them their input in terms of what the issues were in the community. The feedback was, and there's always been an argument for years that there's a significant shortage in the trades in different types of areas. And this has been going on, to be quite honest with you, for the last 20 years, 20, 30 years, depending on where you are. So at one point, they said there wasn't enough bricklayers and the whole economy was going to become flat. Well, guess what happened? The economy didn't go flat, and there wasn't enough bricklayers to make everything move forward. But the issue that they did identify is that there is no skill shortage of workers generally. That overall, there's enough people to fill their demands. There are some issues in the skilled trades. But the feedback was that there is an issue in terms of the needs of the employers in terms of the skill sets for those individuals. What I'm getting at is that there's a problem with attitude. There's a problem with, I deserve this job. There's just the question of the whole attitude towards work, attendance. So that came back, and I've heard this isn't the first time I've heard this, and in some cases it's a reflection of youth. And I've been in different quarters that some people have said that you don't understand youth, you don't understand their needs. I certainly think there's an argument there, but there's also, the issue is that the bottom line is the employer pays the bill. So there certainly needs to be work in that area. Also the feedback was that I think we're all aware of the fact that it's an older population, that there is a demand in the healthcare field for different types of workers to fill these needs. There's a significant demand for registered nurses, different types of specialized occupations within the healthcare sector. There's also a continuous demand for licensed age-said drivers, electricians, and motor vehicle mechanics. The issue of the employers, going back to the employers, there's no soft skills training now delivered in the community directly towards people wanting to enter the workforce or to retain in the workforce. We've moved more out of the soft skills training and more into skills-based training. So the question is, in the future, is that will there be movement forward to provide more services towards soft skills training? Now, someone will say, well, whose responsibility is that? Is that responsibility of the schools? Is it the responsibility of parents? Is it a responsibility of post-secondary institutions? I'll leave you with that, but I think we all have a responsibility to address that issue in terms of that type of training. Small business makes this county work and makes the country work, in my estimation. In this county right now, there's almost 6,000 jobs in operation with no employees. This is small little businesses that are currently in operation. 1 year ago, this number stood at around 5,200 people. Right now, it has increased by 754. So it's increased by about almost 15% this last year, which I think is significant. And we also have grown in terms of employers with 1 to 4 employees by about 7%. So there's been a significant increase in small business in this community, which I think is significant. There certainly has been some negative, it's not all a good news story. There's certainly been some layoffs and pressures on certain industries, and there's been some layoffs. But overall, if you look at the overall picture in terms of employers, it's around 11% increase from last year's, which I think is a really good news story for our community. Population highlights, I think we're all aware that there is some issues in terms of our aging population in this community. The median age of this community is about 47 years of age. There's a number of older workers that are continuing to work. We rely heavily on external factors in terms of increasing our population, our labor supply. There was little or no natural increase in our population growth. So the essential argument in terms of the negative population growth and the seniors in a growing age group is that in the future, will there be enough labor to supply what we currently have? Forget about the future, that we currently have. So that's the number one issue. So there's a number of us today, and I'm one of them. I'm an older worker. There's a number of you out here today. I can see you. Can't hide. Can't hide. But that's the issue. So right now, more people are staying in the workforce. They're working longer, but there will become a moment in time that it's not going to happen anymore. And so statistically, if you look, they say between 5 and 10 years that the boomers will maybe they'll quit booming. I'm not quite sure what the term is, but there'll be an imbalance. There'll be an imbalance. So that's the central issue. So through the good work of Melissa Francis and the Leeds Grenville Immigration Partnership, they do a significant amount of work in this community to address that issue. So I think it's incumbent upon ourselves to support that organization and just to open up in terms of how we can increase our population base. Now, this issue is not unique to Leeds Grenville. This issue is across different parts of rural Ontario and in Canada and in certain parts of urban centres. So it's not unique. But the issue is that it's our community and we have to address that. And it's a critical piece as we move into the future. The youth in our area, we're all aware that there's a significant out-migration of youth. Many youth graduate from schools, depending on where they are, and they move out of our region. And I think we all know of that. I have my daughter's in Calgary right now. I think we all can attest to this situation. And we all want we all want our youth to stay here. So at the present time, there's about 12% of our population is between the ages of 15 and 24. The unemployment rate for youth is roughly, for that segment of the population, is about at 19%. Now that 19%, that percentage, again, it's a common, it'll go up and down a little bit, but that issue is consistent across the province. But that's a critical element of the whole exercise. Now, if you go back to what I said before about employers' feedback in terms of some of the issues of people applying for jobs, I hate to say this, but it goes back to youth. And so there's an issue there. There's an issue about, that the youth have certain expectations that the employers don't share. There's a whole issue. So that's what we really have to work on. There's a lot of great initiatives that are currently going on in our community to address that issue. The different employment service organizations and literacy organizations are addressing that issue. But it's a theme that we cannot forget. In terms of our community, as Anne referred to, we presently, we're involved in different projects, and one of them it's called EmployerONE. This EmployerONE is a survey that the provincial government wished to us to administer, and we partnered with the Kingston Economic Development Commission last year to do so, and in this year we're moving to Leeds Grenville, and it's logical to work with Anne's group in terms of the survey. So the survey essentially is a means to gauge what's the future and present demands of the workforce and some of what the issues are. And so the idea is to roll back that information and share it with you, the community, and also share it across the province. So that's one of our projects, and so we certainly look to your participation and your support of that initiative. And so I think many of us are surveyed till death, so you're at the phone, you're at dinner at 5 o'clock, and the phone rings, and who's on the phone? Well, it's very, very important. We won't call you at 5 o'clock, okay? But it's very, very important that we have as much support as possible in the completion of these surveys, because it's either an electronic survey or it's a telephone survey, and that, my friends, is the way of the world right now in terms of data collection, or in terms of some type of electronic database to refer to. So again, we ask everyone for your continued support for that initiative. In the package that we gave you, there should be 5 handouts. 2 refer to this region, older workers, youth. 2 refer to a general synopsis of the population. There's also a 2-page handout that refers to labor market indicators, where you can access labor market information. There's some very good information in those packages. Now, we just put this together a couple of days ago, Maureen and I, but I really would emphasize in that 2-page, we didn't have enough time to put it into a glossy, but that has some really great information into it. So if you're at a council table, or if you're an employer, and you want to refer to certain information to make a decision, an informed decision, I would really strongly recommend that you refer to those documents. And also, my last point is that the local labor market planning report that it will be on our website. It's a 100-page document. It'll be in both official languages. All our documents are. It should be up there in roughly about, I would say, a month. If you go to our website, you can take a look at the website and you can pull that data from that. It's very user-friendly. You can, it's interchangeable, so if you want to ask specifically about youth, older workers, it'll take you specifically to that page. And I really strongly encourage you to use that information in your decision making. So in closing, just on behalf of the board and our directors, I'd like to thank Anne and her team for being part of the agenda here this morning. I'd also like to applaud Gord Brown, our MP, and Steve Clark, our MPP. They're the people who put this, they're the people who, why we're here today in my mind. They put it on the table, they work together to have this as part of an ongoing consultation within our community. And this type of consultation, to be honest with you, there's no other type of consultation that I'm aware of across southeastern Ontario of this nature. I know nothing in the Frontenacs, I know nothing in Loyalist Township, but this is a really significant event, and I think this is what we need to do. We need to work together very closely and communicate and discuss and share what we're doing and our best practices. So thank you very much.